Welcome to the FaceTime segment. Today, I'm bringing you an exclusive interview of a man who is not just an ordinary leader, but many people call him an extraordinary leader. During his time, Malaysia experienced a rapid economic growth and achieved modernization with developed countries. He's the man who put Malaysia on the world map by bringing mega projects which were criticized. However, his critics had to swallow their words because these projects actually brought Malaysia's success in the socio-economic sector. He's none other than Tun Dr Mahathir Mohamad, who is here with me, who is going to discuss with me on the current affairs. Thank you, Tun, for being on our show today.
You're welcome.
Well, Tun, if you were leading the country, how would you have handled the sovereign debt issue? Or do you think, is it just an issue or it's just a perception by Fitch Ratings?
Well, the sovereign debt should not become a problem to any country. We need to borrow, of course. Everybody borrows. And most times countries have deficits. But borrowing in order to make up for shortage of funds is not the best way to do things. And well, when you do have the money, you should pay off your debts.
All right. Now, how would you have handled right now the situation of Malaysia in terms of the sovereign debt?
Well, the government believes that it is still within limits, but at any time, a government should have as little borrowing as possible. Right. It is possible to generate more funds from within the country, not merely by taxing, but by improving the volume of business done in the country, generating more profits, and of course getting more taxes. At the same time, government can always reduce expenditure. When you don't have money, don't spend. That is a good way of managing sovereign debt.
Well, do you think inflation will be a problem when GST kicks in next year?
Not if they introduce it in stages. You see, don't go for the maximum at the very beginning. Always move in different stages so as to take into consideration the effect and the time taken for people to adjust to new taxes.
How about electricity tariffs, right? Do you think is it necessary to hike up these tariffs because it cuts across the rich and the poor?
That is true. It's very difficult to distinguish between rich and poor, or between the industries and private usage. But I believe that the government can probably slow down the increase, introduce again in stages so that people won't feel the effect so much and they would have time to make adjustments, especially industries.
Right. Now on ratings, do you think Fitch Ratings or any other kind of rating firms are fair in their assessment?
Well, rating depends upon people, and people have got different ideas. So sometimes they are fair in your view, but they may appear to be unfair in other people's view.
So if it's unfair, do you think that why is the government having a lot of subsidy cuts?
Government has to manage its deficit, as you said just now, and one of the causes of deficit, of course, is subsidy.
Right.
And the people also must learn to make adjustment because subsidies in this country is quite a heavy burden for government. Okay. For example, oil price, petrol price. Even in countries producing huge quantities of petrol, the price of petrol is higher than in Malaysia. Right. So we need to accept that the people must bear part of the cost of living in this country.
Right. Okay. Now you are an architect of Vision 2020. Do you think the country will achieve this target or is in line with this target?
Well, if you go by per capita income and maybe GDP and things like that, yes, we are going to achieve it. But then that does not make this country a developed country. A developed country must have certain capabilities. For example, it should be strong in manufacturing, the people should be very well educated, people should do a lot of research and development, they should be producing sophisticated things, they should not depend upon imports all the time. All these things are needed in order to consider a country as being developed.
You think we can achieve this target by 2020?
Well, in terms of per capita income, I think we will, but in terms of other aspects of development, I don't think so.
Well, during your time, there was no breakdown in race relations. Now, if you were still leading the country, how would you have handled this differently?
Well, I think every race has got its own interests, and we need to look at them, because if you provide them with something that they don't want or they don't need, then obviously they're not going to be very happy. So we need to understand the needs of the different races and cater to them, and to try and reduce conflicts as much as possible. And perhaps we should also be very careful about being too free in the way we talk, in the way we publish things and all that, because the extremists will take advantage and they will play up these issues, and the moderates dare not go against the extremists, because if they do, they are going to get hammered by the extremists. So that is the nature of things. So a certain degree of control over excesses or abuses of freedoms must be done by the government.
Right. Now, Doctor, I would like to ask you one last question. I'm sure you've been asked this many times. What is the secret behind your kind self and Tun Siti Hashma's youthful look right now?
Well, I think I live a very moderate life. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't eat excessively. I behave like a person who is normal, in the sense that I try not to indulge in excesses in anything.
Right. That's all?
Yes, that's all.
All right. Thank you, Tun, so much for being on our show today. So if a man's achievement is measured through success, Tun Dr Mahathir's basically is the man who can handle any kind of contest handsomely. So on this note, we're going to take a short commercial break and we'll be back with you in a bit. Stay tuned with us.